Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Cassie Knoll, and this is your 10 weather impact recap for the week. Francine made landfall in southern Louisiana on Wednesday, September 11th as a Category 2 hurricane. It then moved north along the Mississippi River and weakened rapidly. The storm had maximum sustained winds near 100 miles per hour. This is video from Terrebonne Parish as heavy rain and hurricane-force winds moved inland across southern Louisiana. A state of emergency was declared by the governors of both Louisiana and Mississippi as the storm knocked out power to more than 250,000 customers last week. In the city of Houma, at least one business had its roof ripped off. The owner of the business says he was surprised Francine caused this much damage to the building because it withstood more powerful storms in the past. But in the end, he's just happy that no one was hurt. In New Orleans, a Good Samaritan who stepped in to save a man's life as his truck was sinking into the floodwaters from Francine says his actions were, quote, nothing out of the ordinary. Miles Crawford used a hammer from his home to break out the window of the stranded driver's truck before pulling him through the broken window and carrying him to safety. WDSU, the NBC affiliate in New Orleans, caught the whole moment live on air. Crawford is an ER nurse.
I just didn't want him to go under or anything and get, I don't know if he's going to get swept away or if he knows how to swim or anything, so I just want to make sure that he was safe and brought him to shore.
Wow, thank goodness he was in the right time at the right place. Thankfully, there were no deaths or injuries reported from the impacts of Francine. Meanwhile, folks on the West Coast are dealing with a different type of disaster. 3 major wildfires in Southern California burned more than 100,000 acres and forced evacuations during a heat wave that helped the flames spread in the fire-prone region. Governor Gavin Newsom issued a state of emergency for several counties in Southern California, and this is a look at the smoke map now. We have a trough of low pressure out west, so that's helped to suppress some of that fire activity, but the smoke has now been pulled up and over to parts of the Northeast, the Midwest, and even down here into the Southeast around our area of low pressure. Crews continue to battle the bridge fire, which is currently Southern California's largest active fire. The bridge fire spread from San Gabriel Canyon to San Bernardino County and has burned more than 54,000 acres. According to CAL FIRE, as of Tuesday morning, the fire was only 25% contained. Officials said resources were focused on the northern area of the fire, where air operations dropped water as needed along the fire line near the communities of Big Pines and Wrightwood. In addition to destroying dozens of structures in its path, the fire has impacted the city of Wrightwood's water system, prompting the Golden State Water Company to warn the public to avoid drinking tap water for the time being. The line fire is still burning in San Bernardino County, California, and authorities have arrested a subject on suspicion of starting the fire that has now burned more than 39,000 acres. As of Tuesday, it is 49% contained. Local investigators say more charges could be coming as the fire continues to spread. And the airport fire has burned more than 23,000 acres and is about 31% contained. The fire has forced several areas to evacuate in Orange and Riverside counties. Firefighters say the cooler temperatures, marine layer, and higher relative humidity in the last few days has helped slow the spread. Fire officials estimate the fire will be fully contained by lines of cleared vegetation by September 24th. Parts of East Tennessee are experiencing at least moderate drought, with severe drought showing up on parts of the plateau and down into the Southern Valley. 10 News reporter Avery Greenridge explains that fire crews are asking people to consider with such a dry start to fall.
Changing leaves and a rolling breeze say fall is coming. As East Tennessee's weather changes, Blount County Fire Department Assistant Chief Butch Campbell says folks need to be cautious.
We got to be smart about how we burn, when we burn, and where we burn.
According to the U.S. Drought Monitor, most parts of East Tennessee are in at least a moderate drought. That means those dry leaves are in the right setting to spark fires. The Blount County Fire Department says that played a part in spreading a fire along the Dragon on Friday.
We were supposed to be getting some rain as well Friday night.
Yes.
And actually Thursday, and we did not get the amount of rain that we needed as well.
Mid-October is the start of controlled burn season. Blount County Fire says it'll still be okay to burn, but folks will need to take precautions.
Don't wait. If you have any thought at all, just like Assistant Chief here said, call right away. And if we get there and it's easy, there's nothing lost or no one hurt. But if you wait.
And if you've been driving in the mountains recently or even around town, you may have noticed some leaves are already starting to turn colors. We don't typically hit peak season until later in October, but because of the stretch of dry weather we had over the summer, the trees are stressed and some are starting to drop their leaves early.
Lack of rainfall through this season has caused some trees to go ahead and start going into the fall colors. Now, a lot of our trees often turn early. We have hickories and we'll see tulip poplars start to shed leaves early, even in the normal year. But it's been accentuated.
However, we really need to see that rain to help those colors pop for the rest of the season, and we did get a little bit of that around East Tennessee today. Current fall foliage around the whole country, well, it's starting to show up over here in the Rockies, up in the upper Midwest, and even up into parts of the Northeast. This is what's currently going on, but let me show you the forecast for the next 7 days. Check that out, where we're starting to see moderate to even high color, maybe even peak color showing up out here in parts of the Rockies. That would be some of the aspens if you like to head out to Colorado in the high elevations. Those beautiful golden trees will be waving in the wind, and you can see more of that peak color expected over the next week or so, all the way up through Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, and even some of the Cascades and down into the Sierra Nevada could start to see some of their peak colors. Over into the northern portions of Minnesota and up into the UP of Michigan, we could start to see some moderate color showing up there. And up here into the Northeast, moderate to even high color expected in parts of Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and even up near the Tug Hill in Plateau, or I should say the northern portions of New York up there. Following the mountains down to the south, we could start to see some moderate color up in maybe parts of West Virginia, and even some color down here in the mountains closer to home. Now, on the East Tennessee side of things, we're probably still going to see little to no color. But in those higher elevations on the western North Carolina side, well, if you start heading up above about 4,000 feet over the next week or so, you might start to see some low color showing up in places like Newfound Gap, into Cataloochee, over into the Waynesville area in North Carolina. Or if you want to go farther north, you can head over the I-40 pass in through the Pigeon River Gorge. Also up to near Roan Mountain, you might start to get some low color up there, as well as Grandfather Mountain and Mount Mitchell, which is the highest peak east of the Mississippi. So lots of places you can go over the next week to possibly start to see some of those leaves turning early. Now keep in mind that these leaves are turning 2 to 3 weeks ahead of schedule at this point due to that lack of rain. As I said, we've seen a little bit of rainfall here across East Tennessee that we needed to see from that low over the Carolinas, but areas to our east saw a little too much of a good thing. Reporter Marissa Pera has a look at the impacts across the Carolinas.
This morning, a soggy start to the week for folks in the Carolinas, where residents are drying out from the fast-developing rainstorm that wreaked havoc along the coast.
The weather just kept getting worse and worse, and the rain just kept coming. I've never seen it come up this fast, this quickly.
Potential tropical cyclone 8 never fully formed enough for a name, but did plenty of damage nonetheless. Life-threatening flash flooding left the coastal town of Carolina Beach completely submerged after more than 15 inches of rain fell in 12 hours. Forecasters calling it a 1-in-1,000-year event.
They kind of just turned Brunswick County into multiple islands.
Roadways looked like rivers, stranding some drivers.
It didn't look that high. The water did not look that high. You can see the car just completely almost went underwater.
In Brunswick County, some waving down a new ride after flooding out their own.
I know it was raining really hard, but I had no idea it was going to be this bad.
Highway 17 shut down for hours, leaving hundreds of cars stranded, parts of the road under as much as 7 feet of water.
My wife's pregnant. She's due in the next couple weeks. I got 3 kids. I'm about to do some off-roading if I need to.
One road even collapsed and took a car down with it. Now the coastal Carolinas looking to dry off from the storm that proved no name doesn't mean no impact.
And we saw some much needed rain from that same low pressure system, but not too much of a good thing across our area. In fact, we could use a little bit more. And those rain chances gradually decrease as we go through the day on Wednesday, and just a couple showers here and there possible on Thursday. As we dry out, we also will warm up from Friday into the weekend. Highs in the mid to upper 80s. Some places could flirt with the 90-degree mark this weekend, right as we officially move into fall with the equinox happening early on Sunday morning. And from there, it looks like we may stay dry into at least early next week. Thanks for watching, and remember, you can always get the latest forecast with the 10 News app. It's free to download in the App Store.